and welcome to the We Need the Roads podcast. And why don't you make a tree and get out of here, David?
Make like a tree and get out of here. Huh?
Oh my God!
Who are you? Are you
managed...
Biff? You trying to be Biff
yes.
right now?
Yes. Anyway, no jokes today. As David
No,
has
I got a
them.
joke. I got a joke.
Oh, you can't make a big song and dance about retiring the jokes, and then on the very next episode have a joke.
Of course you can.
Go on then.
People retire and come back to work all the time. Okay,
I'd like
Neil.
to retire.
Okay, Neil. How do you spot a blind man at a nudist colony? Come on, Neil. It's not hard.
I was going to say by the erection.
Hey, that's it. That was it. Well done, Neil. Well done. You've worked it out. You used logic and came up with the answer.
Anyway, after that horrific schlong-off-on, in this pod,
they're retired again now. They're gone.
Thank you, Jesus. In this pod, it's going to be The Last Duel, Ridley Scott's 13th century French epic. It's going to be Halloween kills, but I accidentally wrote halogen kills just a minute ago.
That's a whole different film.
But I'd also like to see it. And David, get the sand out of your vagina. It's time for Dune.
Get the sand out of my vagina.
Yes, it's a phrase.
Is it?
I don't
I've never heard that phrase before.
You never heard the sound.
Why would anybody use that as in a sentence?
Well, I saw it in South Park.
Get the sand out of my vagina.
Oh my God! Right. I think you've added like 5 minutes to the podcast just by repeating the phrase "sand out of my vagina."
Yeah, but I mean, I can't imagine it would be nice at all. Like,
and that's why you don't want sand.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, it'd be very coarse.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing that's why they don't want sand in there.
It's not nice up your bum either.
And once again, dear listener, we learned more about David than we ever wanted to know on the podcast. So, moving swiftly on to 13th century France and Ridley Scott's new epic drama, The Last Duel. And unfortunately, David, it's probably the biggest box office disaster of Ridley Scott's career.
Which is a shame, I suppose.
Because...
Well, it came out at the competing with a load of shit.
We'll get into that. It's only taken 18 million from a budget of 100 million so far, unfortunately. And yeah, like you said, it was definitely squeezed out by the competition and certification. This was rated 18 as well, but it came out the same time as Venom 2, Halloween Kills, and Bond, and they were all on more screens. And also, do you know what? I think the subject matter did turn some people off. I mean, an almost 3-hour drama about rape and the poor treatment of women in 13th century France, not really going to drag the punters in, is it? When you've got, Venom 2 there, that's like an hour and a half long.
To be honest, I haven't seen The Last Duel still, because like I've mentioned in the last podcast, there's a shit ton of films that I haven't seen because everything came out at the same time, which is probably one of the main reasons, like you've said, why it's not done very well. And I just haven't had the chance to see it. But I'd want to see this more than I did Venom. Definitely I want to see Venom. I kind of want to see it more than I want to see Eternals as well, a little bit. Not as much as I want to see Last Night in Soho.
Yeah,
if anyone that's confused, I haven't just not seen these films over like a long time. We've recorded episodes back to back. We've gone back to back.
Yeah, we're on I'm on my third podcast of the day right now.
This is the same David that you heard on the last podcast. It's the same. We're the same. But
not the one you didn't hear on the one before that.
Yes, and that was a different David.
Because you're in jail. Yeah, so I think with The Last Duel, I think the main of the issue is, well, this isn't going to be a spoiler review. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, although if you know your history, you kind of know what's going to happen. The film is set up like Rashomon, in that we begin with the duel, and then we cut back to see the events of the film from 3 different people's point of view. Firstly, we have Matt Damon's moody Jean de something French, can't pronounce words, sorry. We get his version of events. Secondly, we get Adam Driver's Jacques Licorice. His was easier to say. And finally, the third chapter is from Jodie Comer's Marguerite's point of view, and is subtly titled The Truth, just in case we weren't sure about the thing. And the fact that this film has bombed is really a massive shame, because the cast are firing on all cylinders in this one. Damon and Driver are just a brilliant team on screen as former friends turned bitter enemies. And fucking Ben Affleck, David, this is the best Ben Affleck has been in years. He steals and devours every scene he is in as the drunken fucking... Mate, Ben Affleck, like there's that joke where people go, Affleck, you with the bomb in Phantoms. It should be Affleck, you with the bomb in The Last Duel now. he plays the Count Pierre de Alencon, and he drinks and fucks his way through the entire movie. And he looks like he's enjoying every single second of it. He is just brilliant. He's like, the reason he doesn't like Matt Damon's character, who's like a great soldier and like does everything he can for the king, is because he's a bit boring and a bit moody. And it's just, he's really funny. He's got like dyed blonde platinum hair like Eminem. It's really funny, man. By the time we get to Coma's chapter, though, it's definitely her film. And this should at least get her first Oscar nomination for this performance. I mean, it's heartbreaking, it's powerful, but without falling into hysterics and overacting. So Coma comes alive in this chapter instead of being the dutiful wife as we see in the earlier chapters. I think the controversy with the film, and it's not a major one to be fair, is that there seems to be very little difference in Driver's and Coma's accounts of what happened. And when you're watching, I was like, oh, you expect them to be very different, and there's not. And I think the point is to show you that even now, let alone in 1300s France, something as small as a misinterpreted smile or a look can bring with it such consequences. And I think that's the point they're trying to get across.
Right, okay.
It's literally,
it's hard for me to understand that without context. I'm assuming the wife gave him a little wink, just like a sly smile. And that was just like, okay, that was an invitation for him to go and shag her.
And of course, it's the 13th century, right? So, you can just look at them. You can just look at women and go, right, so. And it's a real shame that an overcrowded box office, a film as good as this can't find its audience. I mean, there's a real dearth of major blockbuster films with casts that people want to see that deal with, hard subject matters, and shows that even with the medieval setting, we really haven't made much progress in the modern day. I mean, a perfect example of this in the film is when Coma is attacked, Damon sees it as a slight against him, not his wife, because she is his property that has been taken unfairly. And Driver tries to protest his innocence by saying, well, she was a lady, so she put up all the required protestations. So, you see how...
I think, it's hard for me to comment because I feel like I need to see it properly. So he's not sticking up for the wife because that's my wife, I love you. If you say I believe you. It's hey, woman, you're mine, and this man's taken
I have been slighted.
My property. Yeah, it's that, is it? Okay.
Exactly. And the stakes are raised even more for the final duel because, and this isn't a major spoiler because it's in the trailer, but, be prepared. If Damon is defeated, then by God's law, it means Margaret is a liar and she'll be burned at the stake. That's not a spoiler, it's in the trailer. Now, look, it's a great film with awesome acting. I mean, I honestly would give Ben Affleck a fucking best supporting actor nod because he's brilliant in it. I was just, I don't know what I was expecting, and he's brilliant every time he's on screen. And I mean, Damon does well, but Damon's character's he's like a bit of a moody twat, but he's really good at his job, and he's like a great soldier. And Driver's not such a great soldier, but he's really good at like getting where he needs to be by being charming and talking to people. And so you're like, oh man, he's going to get absolutely killed dead when it comes to the duel because Damon's like fully, that's what you're thinking going into it. And I won't give away obviously what happens at the end, but this really doesn't deserve to be viewed as a bomb just because it had a shit box office and came out at a crowded time. It's a brilliantly acted film with something to say about how we treat women, and I do urge you all to go out and seek this out now as soon as you get a chance. And if nothing else after this film, David, Affleck, you the bomb in Last Duel, yo.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
You'll make it a thing, Neil. Just if you say it enough, it will become a thing.
I'm going to tweet it. Affleck, you were the bomb in Last Duel, yo. Yeah. So, what are we moving on to next, David?
Are we going to talk about Halloween Kills or Dune?
Well, I think we have to wait till you've got all that sand out of your vagina for the end of the podcast. So, Dune will be the main event.
Warning, people. Spoilers ahead.
Next up, David. Does evil die tonight?
It does. It dies a lot, Neil. It dies a lot. Wait, no, it doesn't. It doesn't die, and it dies. It doesn't, and it doesn't, and it does. Multiple times.
Right. So
every
I saw
other
this...
Halloween film ever, kind of.
So I saw this a few weeks back when it first came out. You've just seen it recently. What did you think?
I did not think it was brilliant, if I'm completely honest. I enjoyed what happened in the Halloween reboot from
the 2018 one.
When was that? Yeah, 2018. Thank you. And I felt like that was took a new like progressive route with everything, and then there was this one, and I felt like it just ripped back a lot of what that had done, and became I don't know. There was nothing really enjoyable about it.
Nothing happened in it.
No, yeah. I mean, one thing happens in it, I guess. And you
I know what you're going to say.
One other thing, I guess, which is sort of like, okay. And I liked that all the actors and the cameos and like the character are like, oh, this is the actual child that was, it's the same guy. Like, that's all nice. But aside from that, like, aside from just generally like, cool
brutal
stuff
kills.
that they've got the same actors back, the actor that was the main guy, the main Halloween Dies Tonight guy, I've forgotten his name.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Was that him?
It's Anthony Michael Hall. Yeah, Tommy.
He was terrible.
Yeah.
Fucking awful.
Wasn't great.
He was fucking awful in the film. He was really bad acting. I mean, okay. Well, that's okay. No, that's bad. I'm not an actor. I can't say someone's acting is bad because I can't fucking act.
You can.
But I can say that it wasn't as good as perhaps Leonardo DiCaprio. He was no Leo. But
weird comparison to make there, David.
Yeah, but he, I did not enjoy his performance. Let's put it that way.
All I could think of. How many episodes of Community have you watched?
Community, maybe like 3 seasons. Maybe it was a while ago as well. So
okay, right. So that actor Anthony Michael Hall turned up in an episode of Community as a tough guy with a gang who kept wanting to fight the main study group. But everything he did in his thing was really camp. He's like, I'm going to put my fist up your ass. And he's like, okay. I'm going to put my fist in your balls. And like, do you want to dance? And like the guy says, what, to show tunes? And all I could think of was how this like really camp, tough guy routine from Community. And I couldn't take him seriously. I was like, and then someone stuck the gif of it online after the film. Everyone was like, yep. I mean, it's so weird. He's just, yeah.
His character wasn't fantastic. It wasn't good. He wasn't my favorite. Let's put it. Yeah.
I mean, so let's get into the pros and cons of it because there's really not a lot of either. To be fair,
I much prefer Paul Rudd as Tommy Doyle.
Yeah, I think. Well, Paul Rudd can do no wrong. It's just a fact, man. But I mean, the big thing is, bar Karen being killed at the end, Laurie's daughter. Yeah. Nothing really mattered that what happened.
You learn a very small amount about the law.
Oh, big deal. Bothered. Forgotten it already, mate.
Yeah,
right.
It was just that he's working his way back to the house, and then he was there, and that was kind of.
We could have had Myers kill her, Karen, at the end of the 2018 film, and just skip this whole sorry mess. Because I mean, the biggest problem this film has is they're building it all on 3 generations and of Strode women. They're gonna fight. No, one tried to fight a little bit. The granddaughter was a dick and kept running off every 5 minutes, and Jamie Lee Curtis was sidelined for the whole film and spent the whole time sat in the hospital chatting to an old copper. I was like, that film. It was such a bad middle film in a trilogy that didn't need to exist, But okay, I'm not going to be totally down on it because watching a horror film
was this always intended on being a trilogy? Back when Halloween was rebooted in 2018. Was it going to be a trilogy then?
I don't know. I'm guessing so. I'm guessing they pitched it that way.
Okay, because I thought that was quite a good. That was a nice
ending.
Ending, yeah. And
I mean, that's what the fire department get for being really good at their jobs. If they just come back a little bit later.
Yeah, everyone's fucking shit at killing him. This is America.
Oh,
how has not one of these rednecks got a massive
gun?
Got an automatic rifle somewhere? Not one of them. It's America. Come on, everyone's packing. Like you walk down to grandma in the street and she's packing. How is not one of them? How is not just shoot him in the head? Just fucking shoot him. There's shotguns everywhere. Just get a shotgun to the head. And I'm
going to try and be positive. So I thought the kills were really nice, brutal, and inventive. The whole bit with the guy's head
name one inventive kill.
The guy's head in the banister. I thought that was really funny.
In the what? In the banister? Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was funny.
I was quite sad when he died. I quite liked him. He was I don't know. I quite like that guy. He was, if anything, he was one of my favourite characters in it. Wasn't he? He was the son, wasn't he, of Anthony Michael Hall, Tommy Doyle? Was he Tommy Doyle's son? I think so. No, he wasn't. He was somebody else's son. I can't remember. Anyway,
it doesn't matter, David. They're all dead.
I quite liked him. He was nice. He got killed by a banister. You're all right.
Banister. Death by banister. It was brilliant. It's just it almost become comical at that point.
There was Sorry, go on.
The one funny thing, the funny thread that sprung up on the internet was this. And I honestly reckon someone started this as a joke, and then someone took it seriously, and then everyone piled on. There was a thread that said Mike Myers is homophobic because he kills the gay couple who are in the house.
Yeah.
No, you dicks. Myers kills everyone in the neighborhood, no matter your age, your ethnicity, or sexuality. If you're in a house in Haddonfield, Illinois, on Halloween, Myers is going to kill you.
Yeah.
And someone
Myers
even
don't give a
said,
shit. If anything, we should all be a bit more like Michael Myers.
everyone should be a bit more Myers, yeah. And someone even pointed out, actually, no, do you know what? There was a very subtle hint that he was pro-gay marriage, and I can't believe I'm saying this, because he poses the dead couple in the same way as they are in a photo that's on the wall.
Oh, see, that's
exactly.
Nice. He's a sweetheart, really. Like, he's like, I'll kill you, but that's, what? It's quite sweet. Bless him.
I honestly reckon the filmmakers thought, do you know what? If we have him kill the gay couple, people are going to complain. And then, there was like, he kills.
Why would you complain about that?
Because people complain about anything these days. But I reckon the filmmakers were like, look, he kills everyone. And then someone like Studio Note was probably like, can he? And then the studio goes, well, what if we show that he isn't homophobic, despite being a demonic, murderous guy who never dies and kills everyone? Oh, yeah. And he's like, well, what if, and that's probably why we got them arranger. I mean, I missed that completely the first time. I was reading online the thread of inaneness, and I saw that. I was like, okay, I guess. Like you mentioned earlier, I did like the idea of bringing back the legacy characters from the first film, played by the original actors. The only problem is, most of them are really bad.
Yeah, was it all of them or most of them, Neil?
I don't remember. What I really did like, and I thought would have been a better way for the film to go, was the flashbacks to 1978 and Jim Cummings as Pete McCabe, the detective near the start. I thought that would have been a much better plot device for the film, showing the aftermath of the original night and how that had impacted all the people that we are now seeing in the future.
Yeah. So
that then when Tommy went around trying to get everyone together, you go, oh yeah, because that happened to him because of this. That happened to him. This is how 1978 affected that person's life. And then it wasn't, instead of Tommy just running around going, evil dies tonight, evil dies tonight, evil dies tonight.
They could have done like a Fear Street thing with Halloween Kills. A Fear Street Halloween Kills, you show how it's...
Exactly, man. That would have been better.
I agree.
But I have to get to the ending of the film, David. And is it when Evil dies?
Is it when Evil died that night? Is that?
It's when Evil dies. It's when the mob Evil died. It's when the mob Evil die him, and then they're like, "Oh, we've killed him," and then they just start walking off, and then he gets up and kills every one of them again. It was so stupid. Like you said, none of them's got a gun that could blow his head off, or detach a limb or something with a big knife or a machete. No, we're just gonna keep on bloody We're just going to keep on doing that.
Everyone's like, "Oh, okay, we've done our job." Okay,
we've hit him with some bats, metal pipes, and I think there might have been a couple of knives in there. That's totally done it. Yeah, this guy who's been terrorizing everyone for 20 years, not a problem at all. We're all good.
Yeah.
I was like, not. I see what they was trying to do with the evil is like the mob mentality thing, but it was so heavy-handed and poorly done that it just needed to be written better. And I think if you'd cared about the people who were suddenly become this violent mob, or even any character development on them, then it might have worked a little bit more.
Yeah, like when they're trying to kill that bloke that was also from the escapee mental.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of tried it there, but no one gave a shit.
Yeah, like that. I was quite sad when he died as well because of the whole mob mentality thing.
Didn't he fall out of the window?
But I just don't understand. He jumped. He committed suicide. But but everyone was just like, how could you not hear them being like, it's not him, like the main two people in the entire film, being like, it's not him, and they're all just like, rah, 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 kill, like evil dies tonight. It wasn't good. But there was one small detail which I did quite like from it, which was a nod to one of the Halloweens, Halloween 4 or 3. 4. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna say 4.
Wait, Hemsworth was in it.
What? No, no. It was when it was when the park. When all the people were killed in the park.
Yep.
They had those masks on them. There was the pumpkin mask.
That's from Halloween 3.
And was it Halloween 3? Was it? Okay, Halloween.
Season
3.
of the Witch.
Yes,
the Tom Atkins masterpiece.
Yeah. That one. I quite liked that.
I actually watched it for the first time recently with it's on Netflix because everyone has said Halloween 3 is terrible, but also it's awesome. And I watched it, and it was exactly both those things.
Yeah. It's the one without Michael Myers in it, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's all to do with, and it's just like, it's bizarre, like the Silver Shamrock Company, and that really bizarre song. It's more days to Halloween.
It's been
more days to Halloween. Silver Shamrock.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for years, but I recognised that like pretty instantly.
There's loads of people love it online, man. And there's one of the Twitter accounts we follow, and they just everyone was in love with Tom Atkins and his moustache, and they want to form a band called Tom Atkins Moustache. I mean, there's literally a bit in the film, right, where he meets a woman, her dad's horribly murdered within like seconds, and then like a day later they're like, oh, my dad's dead, but hey, let's bone. The power of the mustache, David. The power of the mustache. In the 70s. Oh no, that was early 80s, mid 80s. It was an 80s stash. Anyway,
Tom Affleck had a is it? Oh,
so Evil didn't actually die that night, which, spoiler alert, because they fucking chanted about it a lot. But I am predicting right now, the next year when we have Halloween Ends, well, that won't end it either. And I'll tell you why it won't end it, because Halloween, I think this film only cost, it's either 10 or 20 million to make, and it made 120 million in its opening weekend, despite being on HBO Max, day and date release in the States, as well as the cinemas. But I mean, come on, you release a Halloween film in the cinemas at Halloween. Generally, films that have a date and in the title always do well if they're released at that date in the in the title of the film. But I am predicting, David, my prediction for Halloween Ends is that Curtis, Laurie Strode, she will die protecting her granddaughter, who was a complete non-factor in this film and kept running off to do stupid shit. And then they will finally kill Michael, except they won't, because there'll be some stupid shit like Alison, the granddaughter, standing at Laurie's grave going, we got him. And then there'll be a fake out with like Michael returning again. You just know it, man. He's not gonna
die. That's not.
He never dies.
As long as he's making money, he ain't dying.
Let's pitch the next Halloween reboot. Halloween, Evil never dies. With bringing back Tom Atkins.
You made me note. Time they said Halloween. No, Evil dies tonight.
Yes, yeah. As punishment for not being around to watch Last Night in Soho and do that pod with me, I made you watch when you finally got around to watching Halloween. I made you get a notepad out, and you did note down for us, David. How many times did they say Evil dies tonight in Halloween Kills?
Okay, so
and
it is
the number was drum roll.
25 times. I think it is said. I say I think because there were moments where it like the audio goes and you can still see them mouthing it, but you can't hear it. So I didn't count that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't count it, and I counted the ones that were really quiet, where they're like "Hero dies tonight," and it's like "Hero dies tonight." And it gets a bit like that. I counted them ones.
I mean,
and there were also variations of Hero, like Evil dies tonight, such as like
Evil dies tomorrow,
dies tonight, or Jason. Like no, not Jason. What fucking film am I watching?
Friday the 13th.
Michael's got to die or whatever. Like all of that shit. These I did not count. But 25 is the number I got to. I might have missed a couple.
Okay.
So give or take one or two.
I feel
it's a fucking
you've done
lot.
Your job.
It's like half the film, half the script.
If you're listening to the pod, then obviously you've just heard it. But we will put this up on Twitter as a poll in the days before the pod went out. So we'll see how many of you got it right. I think we'll do like 10, 25, or 43. Nice number.
Yeah. Okay.
You seem massively infused by that, David.
I mean, to be honest, if I'm completely honest, counting how many times Evil Dies Tonight was in that film was probably the most enjoyable thing about the film that I had.
I'm glad I could give that to you then.
Yeah.
So, David, my next question is: have you got all of the sand out of your vagina?
I don't. What is this? What is this saying? I don't understand it.
I'll send you a gift. Don't worry about it. So, finally, David has cleaned his vagina of the sand. But it's bad timing, David.
I don't have sand.
Exactly.
It's clean. Because my vagina is perfectly clean.
Where we are heading now, we are heading off to the desert world of Arrakis for what was my most anticipated film of the year, and did it live up to the hype? Has Denis Villeneuve still yet to make a bad film? David, I would bet you all the spice on Arrakis, he hasn't. Yeah. So yes, I'm happy to tell you, film of the year, nailed on, no question. Just don't even bother doing your end of year list. Dune is the best film of the year. To quote Scorsese, this is cinema. And as such, should be viewed on the biggest screen possible. Unfortunately, where we live, we're nowhere near an IMAX screen, so we saw it on a regular screen, but it was still breathtaking. So, although we're a few weeks late on our review, just like Warner Brothers, we were waiting to see if anyone would be interested. And actually, that's a bunch of crap. But thankfully, as we record this, only days ago, Warner Brothers confirmed that yes, indeed, we're going back to Arrakis, and Villeneuve is pressing ahead with Dune Part 2, which will cover the second half of the rest of Herbert's first novel. So, just the 2 years to wait, David.
Yeah, it would have been fucking criminal if they stopped Criminal. The film was fucking phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It was an experience watching that. There's not a lot of films that you can say you go to the cinema and you've like experienced something special. And that I genuinely felt like I knew what I was watching was special, and I fucking soaked it up because it was the film of the last decade. I can't think of a better film in the last decade that I've enjoyed as much as I enjoyed Dune. I like you said, it was such a shame that we didn't watch it in IMAX for the first, because it was so. Has anywhere ever transported you so well as Arrakis did? Have you ever been so like you're there, you're fucking there? That's, you know what, it was there, Neil. It was in that vagina. It was well. I could fucking.
There was so much sand, David. You're still getting it out now.
I could smell spice in that cinema room. It might have been popcorn, but I could smell it, and it was.
That was special spice popcorn. That was spice popcorn. It was a tie-in. So if you have a look in the mirror, your eyes were a little bit bluer now.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how legal that is, but hey, go with it, man. Yeah. Now let's face it. It was never a sure thing that we was going to get Dune Part 2, because the Part 1 cost 165 million. And so far, as we record this, it has made around 300 million worldwide, despite having a day-and-day release in America on HBO Max.
That's criminal as well. That it's only made 300 million. Just give it. It should be everyone should see it. Everyone. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen it, you go right now. Right now.
Cool your jets. Cool your jets, Tonto. Anyway, that continued success in the box office, it actually didn't do that well in China, which they was expecting to take a lot. And do you know what? I think being an original property, it was quite a hard sell to some moviegoers. But now onto the story and the plot. And we're not really going to waste time going through the whole plot, as just describing it would take up several pods before we even got to it, sort of any analysis and pros and cons. And generally, it's had really favourable reviews. I mean, critically, critics pretty much all love it. From the general film fan that I've spoken to and we've seen on Twitter, I'd say about 75-80% of people love it.
Who hasn't loved it?
Well, that's what we're going to get to, David. Some people don't like it. And I think we're going to look at some of the pros and cons of the film and the series going forward. So the first pro, and you mentioned this immediately, was visually it is absolutely stunning. It was filmed in Wadi Rum in Jordan, Abu Dhabi, and Norway stood in for Caladan, the Atreides home planet. And it was filmed by Aussie cinematographer Greg Fraser. And let me tell you, David, Greg's been a busy boy. He's worked on Let Me In, the Oscar-winning Zero Dark 30, Foxcatcher, Rogue One, Vice, and before Dune, he also managed to just fit in Matt Reeves' The Batman before he goes back to Arrakis for Part 2. And as Villeneuve once said, watching Dune on your phone or a tablet was akin to trying to ride a speedboat in your bathtub. I mean, I think what he meant was that the sheer size and spectacle of Dune means it needs to be seen on the biggest screen possible. And at least, David, I do have some good news for you, because the Cineworld over in Ashford, where you used to work years ago, is having a bit of a renovation at the minute, and they're putting in an IMAX screen.
Are they really? They need to get that shit sorted very soon.
Oh, it's opening again in March next year. So in March 2022, it will be open to the general public. Of course, we still got to wait another year and a half.
Will Dune be playing there?
I don't think it'll be playing when they open it, because whatever's playing...
What's the point? Why are you telling me this, Neil, then? Why are you telling me like that? Oh, we can. It's just over there.
Because when Dune Part 2 comes out, we can see it in IMAX.
Neil, you're thinking long
term.
And
also, you know for a fact they're going to do a screening of both of them back to back. There'll be a midnight screening of Dune, Part 2, and Part 1 will probably start at about 8:30, 9 o'clock. So you get to watch the whole thing in one go, man, in IMAX. I'm booking the day of that and the day after that off work already now. I don't know when the film's going to be released in 2 years' time, but I'm going to book it off because that's how much I want to see it in IMAX. Dude, do you know I've never seen a film? I've never been to a cinema that has IMAX. I think I might have been to one in Dubai, but it was really early in the morning.
Yeah, no, dude, it's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, that's why it's such a shame that we did that. If you'd have seen this film, and I think if we'd have seen this film in IMAX, fuck me, it would have been. You'd have had to have. I don't even know. We'd
had to cart you out in a wheelchair, wouldn't we?
We could have just died at the end, and we'd have been perfectly happy.
We're like, yeah, that's it. Nothing approaches more than that in life.
No, done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Part 2, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Big flaw in your suicide plan.
That's true. That's true. It was no.
Your culture of Dune's not going too well. Right, let's kill ourselves. It was brilliant. But what about Part 2?
Anyway, back to cinematography. Oscar. There you go. Have it right there. I think with Dune, it's a question of how much, how many is it going to win?
All of them. It should win all of them. But if they're dicks, it'll probably just win technical.
It won't win any of the actors.
I think Rebecca Ferguson should be up for best supporting actress.
She's the only one that will get nominated, I think.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's go on to that. Her performance, man. Like, she should get awards recognition as Lady Jessica because she's been training Paul in the ways of the
nominated. At least nominated. She's
been illegally, really, training Paul in the ways of the Bene Gesserit. My autocorrector just put Benny Dessert on screen, so that's nice. And her performance is largely internal. It's all very much in the face. It's the slightest change in her facial expression and all the hand signals, and she literally tells the story of all the trouble they're in through that. But it's and again, it's understated, isn't it? It's not a big over the top performance, and they're the ones that usually win the Oscars, right? But she should definitely be nominated for it. I mean, she should be nominated for everything, man, because she's brilliant in everything she's in, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately. She's just give her all the movies. We've got to.
You do have a thing for Rebecca Ferguson.
That's because I am a man, and she is awesome. Now, there is... Do you know what? For me, on the acting side of things, there's not one bad performance in the cast. Everyone kills it. And even in the tiniest bit of screen time. I mean, how fucking awesome did Batista look as Beast Harkonnen?
Yeah.
Barely... And again, he had maybe you had that nice little action scene where he's like, lopping off a few heads and doing a bit of slaughter. But then he's got that scene where he's talking to Baron Harkonnen, and you can see the fear in him. And that's what I love about Batista as an actor. And we mentioned this before, that he, even though he's a big muscly dude and he's got all the action hero traits, he can fucking act, man. He can really act. And he does it again here. I just can't wait to see more of him in the next one. If he's in it much more, because his character, I don't think that character was really in the original film. I think Sting's character of I forgot the character's name now, who wasn't actually introduced in this part of the film, comes into the next one, the other nephew. I think they kind of created that character as a side thing. But I'm rambling now. But
in the book,
yeah, in the book, it's what's his name?
Who Batista's character in the book?
No, because he's not really in it as much, is he? He's like He's
in it, but not as much as the character that's going to come into Dune 2, which I kind of don't want to spoil.
Oh, well, but it's a spoiler podcast.
But for a film that hasn't come out yet, that people might want to wait and see.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, but it's a character that Sting played in the original film. There we go. It's not a spoiler. Because it's your fault if you go out and look out who Sting was in the original film. Yeah, so what was I going to say? So, do you know what? I mean, I think the marketing just got it spot on with Dune. It's been sold as an event picture, like Avatar. It's something you had to see on the big screen to fully appreciate the beauty and the grandeur of the film. And do you know what? The scale and the epicness and the depth of awesomeness to each frame. I mean, every frame is like a painting, man, of the film.
Yeah,
I could quite happily have every shot from the film, individual shot, as a painting, and like just line the hallways of my non-existent mansion that I don't have for my super yacht money. But this actually ties into one of the cons of the film that some people don't like about it, and that is some people think it's too slow and not a lot happens.
That I completely disagree with. If you how does
A
not
lot
a lot
happens.
happen? A shit ton happens in the film. The only con that I can think that I can think that people might have with it, it might be a little bit confusing because a lot of the stuff sort of happens and then it's explained afterwards in the film. So there's a lot of stuff like when when there's that assassination robot, all that stuff, and there's other.
Oh yeah, that scene. Do you remember the assassination robot scene? Do you remember when you saw that in Attack of the Clones?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, with the little centipede or whatever it was, millipede.
Yeah. I mean, fuck you, George Lucas. Seriously, man, just
get your own ideas. Don't you steal it out of Frank Herbert? Anyway,
son of a bitch.
The only thing is potentially is Paul as a character is very underwhelming in that he's dealing with all these, but he's very true to the source material, Paul, which isn't written particularly very charismatically. He's not the most charismatic guy.
Not yet.
He's very understated.
Not yet. That's what I mean, and I think that performance has to be played that way.
Stop. I think that's full stop. Period. Even I read this because it was my mission, wasn't it, to read the book before going to see it. So I know what happens in part 2.
But getting back to the slowness of it, right now, I think that's a part of Villeneuve's sort of directorial. It's one of his bits of authorship in a way. Like look at Arrival.
Yeah,
awesome stuff happens slowly, and it's just. Blade Runner, exactly. So again, he's a perfect director for this type of material. But what I really like about it, and again, his style works perfectly for this, because those massive frames of IMAX, there's so much deep visual information and world-class craft on the screen that your eyes just struggle to take in the sheer amount of what you're seeing. So therefore, I think it's a very good idea that by having the film kind of be this slower paced story unfold in front of us, it gives you time to go, wow, like step into the desert. Look around.
100%. It makes it more immersive. You see,
yeah.
like when a ship takes off, you fucking see all the when it lands, you just the detail, the attention to detail to bring you in is just, it really is something that you need to see to truly appreciate.
It gives us as an audience the time to appreciate all the hard work that's gone into the film that creates that spectacle. I mean, the money is clearly there on the screen. And like I said, every shot is fantastic and could be a painting. And you don't need to hide poor camera work with fast edits here. Everything is amazing from start to finish. So yeah, you just mentioned about the acting. I mean, I thought Chalamet was pretty good as Paul. I mean, he's kind of he did a great job as Paul. Brilliant. He's got that sort of face where... You're talking more about the character of Paul rather than the performance of Chalamet, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But I mean, I think he conveys very well that he's grappling with the fact that he knows his family is headed into a trap, and also all the problems he's going to have going forward with the Bene Gesserit, and later on when he may or may not be the Kizwatch Haderach.
Very good, Neil.
That took some practice. This is a spoiler for the film that you've seen, which is Dune Part 1. And we're going to talk about Oscar Isaac, man. What a performance again there. He is a man who knows he's in the shit and can't see a way out of it. But he
elevates a lot, doesn't he? There's much that he's done where he hasn't elevated the film.
He's just awesome in everything.
His spoiler. His death scene was fucking
masterful.
So fucking good. It really was the whole, because when I was reading that in the scene, I was just like, okay, he gets given a tooth and he bites into the tooth and then he goes like with gas. Okay. Man, Villeneuve has got a much fucking better imagination for that scene than I did. A lot of it when I was like,
you don't say, David.
Picturing it, because your imagination is obviously vaster than what you could possibly do. What could be brought to screen.
Apparently, it's not from what you just said.
With this specific scene. What Villeneuve created was better than what I could imagine. I love my imagination, but it really was spectacular.
Well, what I really liked about Isaac's performance is that when they came in, like House Atreides came in to take over from Harkonnens, he wanted to have a better relationship with the locals, with the Fremen. You know, he wanted to appeal to them and not be seen as this oppressive overseer like the Harkonnens. And yeah, like you say, his death scene, it was so masterfully done, with him biting down on a poison tooth, releasing the gas, and dying without ever knowing if he was actually successful in taking out Harkonnen.
Yeah, yeah. Releasing the power of Arrakis. Sorry.
I'm gonna bring you back to one of your points from earlier, right? And this is one of the cons that some people had. And is it a bit impenetrable for someone who's not familiar with the source material? And does Villeneuve do a good enough job so that the film can be easily followed? Well, handily, David, your partner joined us for Dune. So as a non-fan of the source material, how did she find it?
She enjoyed it. She was very tired watching it because we saw like the 8:30 showing.
Yep.
And we didn't finish, and it was a long film. So the first thing she said to me was like, she was tired. but she was slightly confused in certain things because, like I mentioned, they do explain stuff kind of after it happens. So something like there'll be a scene and you kind of have no idea what's going on until the scene afterwards where you get that, where you're like, oh, okay, oh, that's what was happening. Oh, okay. You know, there's no like, I think sticking with the two and not introducing the Emperor more, and all of that jazz, I think was a good move because keeping it more smaller, more personal, and
focusing on the one family.
Some of the exactly was a better approach to keep people more concentrated and more, and like to keep the story more understandable. Yeah. I suppose, because otherwise, if they'd have gone like full, like, you know how I think like Game of Thrones is the only other thing I can think of with houses at the moment.
Well, I mean, there you go, right? I mean, I think that's a simple way you sell it to people, right? You sell it to people who aren't fans of the source material; they're not familiar with it. Sorry, shall we say? You say, well, look, it's Star Wars meets Game of Thrones for adults. It's intergalactic empires and warring houses, and it's just a much more adult version of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Star Wars, man, like we mentioned, he ripped a lot off from Dune. I wonder how good Lucas's lawyers were versus Herbert's back in the day. Well, clearly Lucas's by the looks of things.
Yeah, he certainly. Well, it's. So, I mean, to say he ripped it off is a big thing, but like, there's a lot of obvious.
It was written a decade before he made Star Wars, man.
Yeah, no, I know. Obviously, Dune.
The voice, the Force. Come on. You can control someone by using your voice and make them do what you want. That's, that's the Force. Except that Herbert wrote it first and called it The Voice.
Yeah, but then that's saying, like, can anybody? Does that mean that anybody that ever does anything else in the future can't? I'm gonna do the thing from Mark Zuckerberg in the
Social Network.
The Social Network. Yeah. Does that mean that anybody that makes a chair has owes money to everybody that's ever made a chair?
Yes. Give me all the chair money. But also I have to mention, dude, the first time we see the sandworms, I mean, I can't wait till we know what happens in the second part of the book to see on screen for the next film.
That's one bit that Natasha said that she really enjoyed, was that suspense when the sandworm was attacking.
It was like a train approaching from the distance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a western in that way. It's like space western. The train.
It was. Yes, that's a very good way of. Yeah, no, that's a good way of putting it. Like it's approaching, like an old western, like a train, like when someone's on a track and you've got to untie him to get them off it. That was That
was exactly
pretty much bang on it. That suspense that you feel, like thinking, oh shit, are they going to get out of this?
I mean, it's not. I'm not saying that I'm tapping into the Villeneuve-ness now and can see what he thinks, but yeah, that's cool, man. Right. So, as the title card tells us, though, this is only part one of the book, and unless you were a fan, many people might have not gone into the film not knowing it's only half the first book, which could explain, even to me, why the ending felt somewhat lackluster. Not like I know, I'm not saying it was bad. I mean, but you've got all these massive spaceships and battles hinted at throughout the film, and then the film's finale is a simple knife fight between Paul and Jamis, who Paul has to kill to prove his worth to the Fremen, led, of course, by the great Javier Bardem as Stilgar. I think it's kind of a good place to end the film, although, like we said, in the book, there is a time jump that happens fairly soon after that scene. And I think a lot of us going in were like, oh, well, yeah, they're going to get to that point, and then that's where it's going to end. Is that what you thought going in?
There was one... Yeah. That was where I thought it was. I thought it would go a little bit further because there's a little bit more that happens still before the time jump. But I think they can quite easily just start it at the time jump and then explain that like during. That fight, there was one thing that was missing from it that is quite a big deal in the books, which is when after Paul kills Jamis, he cries.
Yeah.
So he gives water to the dead, which is like a fucking huge. It's a huge deal to the Fremen.
That would have been good.
Water to the dead by crying, and I think that was something that should have been included.
Dude, I bet you they probably filmed it. It just had to be cut for time. I was looking when I was researching earlier today, and there's a scene where Gurney and Leto Atreides, Isaac's character, when they get into the Arrakis for the first time into their palace, they find a chest left behind by Harkonnen, and they open it up and it's full of fingers that have been cut off people, and it's like, we'll lead the way or something like that. And I was like, oh, that would have been cool, like knowing that they're fucked. I mean, but I think they got across that they're fucked pretty well early on anyway. Have to give a quick shout out to Momoa, man. I mean, I love Momoa in this. Like Duncan Idaho. Yeah. He kind of plays the same character a lot, but this was the best version of it. He was toned down but still awesome, you know?
Yeah, he does, you're right. He does play the same character.
He was like a 70% Momoa. He was
brilliant. I think that scene where he sort of steps in front of Paul and Jessica, and the focus just goes to him as he's like, that protective walk that he does to, it was so good. I loved it, Neil.
Big thumbs up to Momoa, man.
Brilliant. Yeah, Jason. Good job, Jason. Good job.
Yeah, perhaps we can get him down now to be in Charlie Gallagher's book. Remember, Dreamcasting.
If we big him up enough,
he'll be there. Give him enough tweets, give him enough retweets. Get Momoa down to Dover.
Yep,
it even rhymes. Momoa and Dover.
Momoa before. Did I tell you I met Jason Momoa?
No,
there was another guy at Comic-Con. Yeah, at Comic-Con. Yeah, I met, like, you go up to him and you chat for a bit. No, I shook his hand. I remember shaking his hand, and as I shook his hand,
he broke your hand in 5 places.
No. His hand, I've never felt like less of a man. It engulfed my hand. It was like double. Like his hand was fucking huge.
Was it the same size as Jeremy Beadle's small hand?
It was like he was. I can't. It was like shaking a hand with someone wearing a baseball glove.
So essentially, it was like being Spider-Man up against Thanos.
The dude's massive. Yeah. It was like his
dude's massive
little hand.
Right. Anyway, I think we're coming to the end of our time in Arrakis for now, and we just have to wait 2 years for the next one, David.
Yeah, I think like you mentioned the marketing before.
Yeah.
And I think you were right. I think it was done very well, but I think people also thought that Zendaya's character was going to be in it a lot more because of her involvement in the trailers.
Mm-hmm. But
she's obviously like we knew that she wasn't going to be in it a lot.
She'll be in it a lot more.
Even me, she's going to be in it a lot more for part 2. But part 1, she's very much, kind of only in it for like what? I mean, how many scenes did she even film? It can't have been that many.
I think she filmed it all in like a week or so.
Yeah, that makes sense because
it's not really misselling it, because like if you're a big Zendaya fan and you went there to see her in the film, she's going to be in it more.
Yeah, but what is her involvement in the film, I guess.
Well, it depends. If you like the film, if you came in,
perhaps,
whatever. She starts the film, man. Hers is like literally she narrates the film at the start, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, My Planet Arrakis is so beautiful. Basically the trailer is the beginning narration of the film.
The only thing I think we have to finish on, David, is do you think in the 2 years' time when we get to go back to Arrakis again and see it back to back with Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 in Ashford in IMAX on opening night with the midnight screening, do you think by then you will have got all the sand out of your vagina?
I thought you were going to say something serious. I thought you...
And like that, folks, that's all the time we have today. We'll see you next time on We Needed Roads.
Out of your vagina.
And by then, David will not have a sandy vagina. See you next time.
sandy vagina.
We